Hello students, welcome to AriserTalent. As you know, we are studying a very important chapter, how to manage natural resources, means management of natural resources. In my previous lecture, I told you about the forest resources. Now we are going to talk about wildlife resources. So today our topic of discussion is wildlife resources. So here we will know about what are wildlife resources. Okay, first of all, what do you mean by wildlife? Life in any form which exists in its natural habitat, like plants and animals, they are known as wildlife. Okay, and whatever we are getting from these wildlife, that is known as resources. Okay, so here wildlife resources means life in any form, like plants and animals which exist in its natural habitat is called wildlife Okay, and resources, as I already told you, resource means supply of something, source means supply of something. So here whatever plants and animals are providing us, that is, these are the reason that they are known as resources. Clear? So as we all know that as being human being, our life is totally dependent on plants and animals, as we get different products from them, as we get wood, medicines from the plants, and from the animals we get their skin, even sometimes they are used for food. We get leather, we get fur, we get ivory, musk, we get so many things from the animals. Thus we can say that our life is totally dependent on wildlife. Clear? Now next is, what is the importance of this wildlife? Importance of wildlife. What is the importance of wildlife? As I told you that wildlife is very important. So how it is important? First of all, it maintains a natural balance in the environment. It maintains a natural balance in the environment. How it maintains natural balance in the environment? As you already have studied about the balance in the previous classes, how it maintains. Now the thing is, how it maintains balance. We all know that plants and animals are totally dependent on each other for their needs. As well as we also know that whatever the biogeochemical cycles are there, plants help in them. So thus we can say that these wildlife, means plants and animals, both maintain a natural balance in the environment. Okay, beside it, it is a symbol of national pride. It is the symbol of national pride and cultural heritage. Now, how it is a symbol of national pride? As we all know, every country, even I must say, each state has an identical flower and what? Animal as a symbol of that state. So thus we can say they provide a pride to particular state and nation. Okay, and it provides cultural heritage also. Now, as I told you that we get many things from the plants and animals. So this is the importance of the wildlife, that we get many valuable products. It provides many valuable products like life-saving drugs as well as other products like fur, okay, skin of animal, musk, ivory, even valuable leather also, leather, etc. Okay, so these are the importance of wildlife that we get many valuable things from them, as well as they provide the national pride, as well as they maintain a balance in the environment. So this was all about the wildlife and its importance. Now, as we all know, it is too important for us. Now, there are some threats to wildlife. What are they? Let's talk about them. Next is threat to wildlife, or you must say reasons of depletion of wildlife. First of all, we will talk about hunting. This is the biggest threat to the wildlife. Hunting. What is hunting? Hunting means when the animals are being killed for the product, for their products like skin, okay, for food. So sometimes animals are being killed and this process is known as hunting. So this is the biggest threat to the wildlife animals, okay, or we can say this is the biggest threat to the wild animals. So here I must mention hunting means killing of animals sometime for food or their valuable products. Products like skin, musk, ivory, etc. Okay, animals are being killed for the leather also. Okay, this was the first reason. Beside it, destruction of natural habitat. Next is destruction of natural habitat. Destruction of natural habitat. Destruction means when it becomes less, okay. So, what are the reasons of destruction of natural habitat? Sometimes we all know that deforestation is the major point of destruction of natural habitat, because deforestation is generally done for the urbanization, industrialization, and to make canals or to make some other like dams and all. Okay, so we can say that the destruction of natural habitat, like it is also a threat to wildlife and it is done by deforestation, I told you in my previous lecture also, deforestation means destruction of forest. A large, when we cut the large number of trees and convert it into the desert, then it known as deforestation. Beside it, pollution. Okay, this is also the reason of destruction of natural habitat, as well as urbanization and industrialization. Okay, so these are the reasons for destruction of natural habitat. Sometimes natural calamites also cause reason of destruction of natural habitat. So what are these? Natural calamites like fire, floods also cause destruction of natural habitat. Okay, next is economic consideration. Next threat is economic consideration. As I told you that many animals are being killed for their important products. Okay, what are they? Ivory, husk, okay, as well as their skin, fur, leather. So next is economic consideration. So what comes in economic consideration? Animals are being killed. Some animals are very important and generally they are being killed for the economic benefits. Some animals have great economic value as they provide valuable things or valuable articles like musk, ivory, leather, and skin. You all have studied about this in junior classes, that how these products are used by the human beings. Okay, beside is overgrazing by domestic animals convert the forest area into desert, and this is also a biggest threat to the wildlife. Next is overgrazing by domestic animals. So what happens in it? Overgrazing converts forest into desert. So thus it is also a threat to the wildlife. Okay, so these were the important points which cause damage to the wildlife. Okay, now we will talk about the endangered flora and fauna. Next topic is endangered flora and fauna. What do you mean by endangered? Endangered means they are about to extinct, and extinct means which have already disappeared. Clear? Flora means plant and fauna means animals. Okay, endangered means about to extinct about to extinct. Flora means flower, means plants, and fauna means animals. Okay, so thus we can say endangered flora and fauna means the species of wildlife which are about to becoming extinct. They are known as endangered flora and fauna. Here I should mention the species of flora means plants and fauna means animals which are about to extinct. Okay, extinct means already disappeared, or we can say disappeared. Extinct means disappear. Okay, so those are in threat of becoming extinct. If we will not conserve them, then they will become extinct. So we need to conserve them. Now what happens? Those species are endangered. Then they are kept, their record is kept in red data book by IUCN, Switzerland. Okay, so here let me mention the record of these endangered animals, or I must say wildlife, or I must say wildlife means flora and fauna. The record of the endangered flora and fauna is kept in red data book. It is kept in red data book. This red data book is maintained by IUCN. IUCN means International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Let me mention here International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Okay, so what is the aim of this red data book? The aim of this red data book is to make awareness, to create awareness about these endangered species of flora and fauna, and to identify and to make a record of them in a particular record. Okay. So next is aim of it. What is the aim? Aim of red data book number 1, to create awareness, of endangered biodiversity or threatened diversity, okay, as well as identification identification and documentation of wildlife, or we can say of endangered species of flora and fauna. And provide, next is to provide global index about what? About already declined species. Okay. So this is the aim to make this red data book, to create awareness of endangered species so that we can conserve them by following the different ways. Okay, and identification and documentation. First, they have to identify that which species are in danger, and to have to make a document of it. Fine. Next, to provide global index about already declined species. Those species are already declined by different nations, that these are the endangered species. So they have to provide global index. Now we will talk about the conservation of wildlife resources. Okay, now we will talk about the conservation of wildlife. Conservation means protection. Okay, so here we are talking about the conservation of flora and fauna which are about to extinct. How to protect them? As I told you, these wildlife play an important role in our life to maintain the natural balance in the environment. Okay, now we will talk about the conservation. Conservation of wildlife. What do you mean by conservation? Here the conservation means the management of flora and fauna to protect them from the extinction. Okay. Conservation means protection of wildlife. What is the wildlife? Flora and fauna. Flora and fauna. Protection of wildlife from their extinction. Okay. So this is the meaning of conservation. Fine. Now generally it can be, many organizations are working to conserve these flora and fauna so that they can be protected from their extinction. Fine. So what are the aims of these organizations? So let me mention aims of the organizations which are working for the conservation of wildlife are: number one, protection. Number one is protection of natural habitats. Now, if we talk about the protection of natural habitats, now what they do, they first identify that which places, which habitats are in danger. Okay, then they identify them, then they provide protection to them, and as well as they provide them complete feeding, they take care of their breeding also. Okay, next if we talk about what, that is maintenance of wildlife in protected area. Those area they have protected. In the first point we discussed how they protect them. They provide the safeguard to the particular areas and they take care of their feeding and breeding. Fine. So they maintain those protected areas. How they maintain them? For example, biosphere reserves. Biosphere reserves. They have made biosphere reserves, national parks, and sanctuaries. Okay, so here is the list of important national parks and sanctuaries. Here we can read them. Jim Corbett National Park in Uttaranchal. Okay, Kana National Park in MP, Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary in Rajasthan, where the winter home of migratory birds, most commonly Siberian crane. You all have studied about them in the junior classes. Nandakanan Biological Park near Bhubaneswar. Simplipal Biosphere Reserve, as I told you here, that they maintain the wildlife in protected areas. So I gave you the example of biosphere. So here we can see this is the biosphere. Like next is Gir Sanctuary. I told you in the maintenance of wildlife in protected area also I told you that they have made the sanctuaries for the protection of wildlife. So here it is Gir Sanctuary in Gujarat and Kaziranga Sanctuary in Assam. More than it, okay, next is Sariska Sanctuary which is in Haryana, Sultanpur Bird Sanctuary which is also in Haryana, Bandipur Sanctuary which is in Karnataka, Madhumalai Sanctuary it is in Tamil Nadu, National Botanical Garden it is in West Bengal, Desert National Park in Rajasthan. So these are the main protected areas in which conservation of wildlife is done. Okay, beside it, some rules are also made for the protection, for the conservation of wildlife. So here we can mention that some rules like protection by, let me mention the third part here only. Third one is protection by legislature. Okay, protection by legislature means many rules are made for the conservation of wildlife. Like they cannot, those animals are endangered, they cannot be hunted. Those flora means plants are endangered, they cannot be cut down. Okay, so we can say many acts are, some acts are made for conservation of wildlife. Okay, so in this lecture we studied about the wildlife resources, that what is the meaning of wildlife resources, what is the importance of them and how can we conserve them. So hope it is clear to you. Thank you.